The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. The apostles said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." And the Lord replied, "If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you. Who among you would say to your servant, who has just come in from plowing or tending sheep in the field, 'Come here immediately and take your place at table'? Would he not rather say to him, 'Prepare something for me to eat. Put on your apron and wait on me while I eat and drink. You may eat and drink when I am finished'? Is he grateful to that servant because he did what was commanded? So should it be with you. When you have done all you have been commanded, say, 'We are unprofitable servants. We have done what we were obliged to do.'" Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This past Friday, I had a surprising encounter with the Lord through a stranger. While walking back to my rectory across the side parking lot, an old-looking man in a wheelchair called over to me from the sidewalk next to the parish center. And as I approached him, I noticed his tattered clothing, his very long unwashed hair and beard. He had a patch over one eye and a reddish face from too much outdoor exposure. His odor made it apparent that he hadn't showered in a long time. He looked to be in his late 60s, maybe even his 70s, but as he told me later that day, much to my shock, he was only in his mid-40s, younger than I am. So I greeted him with a smile and asked him how I could be of help to him. Well, the man then spoke about his life story in a condensed version, telling me this in so many words. "Father, I've been through hell these last 13 years. My wife died in 2003. My later girlfriend died a couple years after that. I've suffered back injuries, broken knees, and a debilitating disease limiting what I can eat. I have no family, no friends, no house to live in. I just get by on the streets. All I have is in the bag on the back of my chair. And yet, despite all these pains, I still have faith, Father. I trust that the Lord will help me. The only thing I read is the Bible, and I have a copy of it with me. Now, Father, I don't want any money. I don't even want a place to stay. I just want some advice of how I could get to a town not far from here. I've never been to that town, but from what I've heard, it sounds like a peaceful place to be. Could you help me get there?" And after asking a few more questions and seeing no other options, I volunteered to drive him to where he wanted to go, accompanied by a friend of mine. And he shared more about his life and background as we traveled along, and he said he just wanted to be respected for his decisions that he made and have his God-given dignity as a human being respected as well. So we got to the town, and I let him out with his few belongings, and he said to me, "God bless you, Father, for your help." And then he rolled his wheelchair down through the town center, and my friend and I returned to church, talking about our encounter. Well, I have to say, my soul is deeply stirred by this man who has almost no one or nothing to call his own, not even good health. And yet, he still held on tightly to the one thing that matters in life, his faith in God. He didn't curse anyone out, or even himself, for his situation. He said that he and God had made a personal deal, and he was just going to trust God's lead on this one, despite the hardship of what he was going through. I sense Jesus in this man. For all that he lost and all that he went through, this man still had faith, reminding me very much of Job in the Bible, who suffered similar losses. And as a matter of fact, as we talked in the car, the man told me that Job and the letter of James were his favorite books of the Bible. It's nothing short of a miracle that someone can go through so much pain and loss and yet still cling to God. They boggle my mind. All of today's Bible readings that we heard concern having faith in the midst of hardship. So I think we first need to establish clearly what it means to have faith here. The simple definition is to have total trust in someone or something. And it especially involves believing that someone will help something good to happen despite evidence to the contrary. Faith does not ask, "Why me, O God?" Instead, it says, "Thanks be to God." Habakkuk the prophet asked a lot of whys in the first reading we heard proclaimed. Why all the pain? Why all the misery? Why all the destruction for he and his Israelite people? And this was all around the beginning of the 6th century BC, by the way. And he even accuses God of not listening to his cries for help, for not listening to his prayers. How many times have we thought God wasn't listening to us in our prayers? I think we could relate. But then God sends him a vision to reassure his people that God's justice never fails and will be seen through, according to God's own plan and his own timetable. And those who have faith in God with this belief will live, as it says in that first reading. Now we have to understand that these Israelites, they didn't believe in an afterlife at that time, like we Christians do. But it points to the hope of new life that Jesus would later on bring to the whole world through his suffering, his death, and his rising. And as St. Paul reminds us beautifully in today's second letter to Timothy, all we have to do to enjoy that eternal life is to, and I quote, "bear your share of the hardship for the gospel with the strength that comes from God." But that's easier said than done at times, isn't it? Especially when pain feels so intense in our lives. This past Friday night, I showed a film in the link here which highlighted that kind of faith struggle. It's a film called Shadowlands. Came out in 1993. It stars Anthony Hopkins, who portrays C.S. Lewis, one of the great Christian thinkers and writers of the whole 20th century. And from childhood until the age of 32, Lewis didn't believe in God at all. His mother died when he was 9 years old, and that completely devastated him. And he also fought for Great Britain in World War I, and he saw horrible mass destruction, including a lot of his soldier friends killed in action. And he thought, how could there possibly be an all-loving, all-powerful God who would allow all this kind of suffering and death to go on? It doesn't make sense. And he actually argued against the existence of God while he taught later on at Oxford University. And yet, thanks be to God, through caring Christian friends who were very patient with him and who shared their experiences of finding hope, healing, and peace in their faith, Lewis finally converted to Christianity in 1931. And years later, when the movie takes place, when C.S. Lewis falls in love with a much younger American woman played by Deborah Winger, all his attempts to escape from pain through his writings and readings that brought him comfort all those years seemed to finally fail him, because he finally opened his heart to what true love is all about. And he was very vulnerable with that love. And when heartbreak hit that relationship, Lewis, through his tears, questioned why this had to happen, but he also confessed that prayer was so important in his faith journey at that troubled time. And he said this, and I quote, "Prayer doesn't change God, it changes us." And so it must be with us in our faith journey in Jesus as well. Faith is never meant to be an escape hatch from our pain or taking the easy way out ever. It's not always filled with happy feelings or successful times. When Jesus' disciples ask him, increase their faith, Jesus reminds them that staying faithful to God not only can lead to great things and changes, but it also involves hard work as servants. Not so much to be served, but to do the dirty work of serving. And we should not expect immediate rewards all the time from God for doing what Jesus calls us to do. Rather, faith means just simply trusting that God will always be there for us with his timely help. giving us the strength to endure whatever comes along our way. It means just doing our duty and doing it with love. Always being grateful for whatever we have with whatever God chooses to freely give us out of love. Can we safely say we have that kind of faith? Do we try to take the easier street of pleasure and comfort in following Jesus? Or are we truly willing to do the hard work that discipleship demands? True faith allows us to see God in every situation that we find ourselves in, and in every person we meet, especially those who are even the most difficult people to get along with, or very unpleasant people. God still is there. I'd like to conclude with something I saw while on vacation back in July. In a national park visitor center in Colorado, I read something called Advice from a Night Sky. Now, you can imagine the beauty and wonder of a night sky in very remote places like the parks. Thus, someone wrote about what such a beautiful, clear night sky can teach us about life. And I've added a few parts to give it a more spiritual flavor and how to live our faith in Christ. So here are 6 pieces of advice from the night sky. Number 1, see the big picture, striving to look beyond your limited views. Number 2, be a star by shining your light of God's love for all to see. Number 3, keep looking up for God's daily guidance in our lives. Number 4, don't be afraid of the dark. Just trust in the light of Christ to direct you through the tough, dark times. Number 5, stay full of wonder and constantly experiencing new things and being thankful for what you have. And number 6, expand your horizons, constantly through reading and learning and seeking more and more of God's truth in the faith. And if we follow that kind of faith game plan, that's going to open up the greater possibility for all of us to experience the light of God's heavenly home forevermore. Now, that concludes my homily, but I've been asked by the bishop to share one more brief item with you this morning. Considering what I've shared about acting on our faith and being good servants of what the Lord has given us, I hope that you will all give serious consideration to how you can make a big difference in this year's Catholic Ministries Appeal, also known as the CMA. It is a very important way to show our commitment to Christ through helping not just our own church, but the whole church around the world through our giving, especially the parishes right here in our diocese. And this appeal helps keep ministries in our parish and the whole diocese healthy and vibrant. Last year was a record-breaking year for the CMA. Not only did our diocese raise over $6 million for the first time, but it was also our own parish's biggest year yet in the CMA. Your generous spirit helped us to raise close to $38,000 for St. Mary's. That's the second straight year that we've made our parish goal and gone well beyond it. For St. Benedict's, almost $6,000 was given, 109% of their goal. And this year's goals are close to last year's. St. Benedict's goal is $5,607, and St. Mary's is $35,299. And remember that half of anything over our goal comes directly back to our parishes, just like it did last year. We can surely use that extra money. So hopefully all of you have received an appeal letter at home from Bishop Patano, along with an envelope for making your pledge. I've already made a big pledge, just put it in the mail the other day, basically as a Thanksgiving prayer for all of you in my life. And as I did last year, I'd like to issue this challenge with the CMA. If we can get 60 of you here from St. Mary's and 10 of you from St. Benedict's who would be willing to make a pledge of at least $200 or more, which could be paid out over an 8-month period through the month of May, that's just $25 a month, I will kick in an additional $2,000 for each parish that makes that challenge. That's more than I gave in 2015. I had a good year this year. What can I say? I want to share it. I believe in the CMA that much. That's why it's so vital for our church ministries that we participate in this. And without the services the diocese provides for us in all the parishes and its boundaries, well, we just simply couldn't keep doing what we're doing for the Lord. It's as simple as that. Now, if you haven't made a pledge, please pray about it, consider doing so. Envelopes are on the back tables if you need one. And whatever pledge that you make, please honor and fulfill that pledge, because if we fall short of our goal, that comes out of our collections in order to fulfill the goal with the diocese. And with our limited budget, we can sorely afford that. So help us achieve our goal, not just for the sake of achieving it, but because it's a part of who we are as Christian disciples doing the hard work. It's our faith commitment. It's a way that we can impact the lives of countless other people here and around the world.